Yes, of course. The Matrix Resurrections was a bad movie. I think you don't have to overstretch or oversell it. I mean, there were aspects of the film that were okay. There were some member berries that I thought were tasty, but overall, it seemed like we had seen this movie before, where Keanu Reeves' Neo character. Remember how big the moment was when he realized he was the one and he stopped the bullets and it was a big deal. Remember how cool that moment was? Well, you get to see that happen about 500 times in this movie because that's literally all he does. He's a shell of his former self. The fight scenes are atrocious, and essentially the entire film serves as a weird love letter to the original, where there are many scenes. There's like a subway fight scene again, just like before. Dime Store Morpheus kind of replays some of the original fighting stuff, but it never really stands on its own. And ultimately, it was a movie that nobody wanted in the first place, a soulless cash grab, one that any other actor behind it would probably have been shredded. But because we all love Keanu Reeves so much, we decided to give him a break. But Hollywood's not giving it a break, and this movie is an absolute flop with a massive $200 million budget. The Matrix Resurrections is set to lose hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, we don't really know exactly how things perform because it's also on HBO Max. And we know that when you give people an option to watch a movie at home, that we're going to do it. But it's bad. Before I get into all the media reaction to it, just a quick word from this video sponsor. Huge shout out to this video sponsor, Established Titles. Now, this may be the most interesting sponsorship I've had yet. Established Titles is a project based on a historic Scottish custom where landowners are referred to as lords and ladies. The Established Title Pack gives you at least 1 square foot of dedicated land on a private estate in Scotland and an official certificate with a crest. It looks absolutely sick. Lord Jeremy from The Quartering, my official proclamation. Also, remember that they have a charity partner, Trees for the Future and One Tree Planted. They plant a tree for every single order, which is absolutely awesome. So you can get this sweet gift for someone or yourself. You can get a certificate proving your title as well as a unique plot number with which you can see the exact location of your land. Established Titles might be one of the best last-minute gifts ever. You could get even a couple pack for you and your partner, where you get adjoining plots of land. Getting this certificate also helps you officially change your name to Lord or Lady and get it on a credit card or some other, whatever else you want, apparently. For those with Scottish heritage, it's also a great way to connect with family. Established Titles is having a great limited time sale, so go to establishedtitles.com/thequartering to save 10% off today. And remember to use the discount code thequartering or just click the link below. That's establishedtitles.com/thequartering. If we look at how the film is done, we know the current updated numbers are about $70 million, an absolute flop. $190 million budget, which means that it needs at least, to be generous, $400 million to even break even at this point. And there's just no chance of it. The Matrix Resurrections will struggle to earn $150 million worldwide. Did they drive? Was The Matrix Resurrections a movie that was going to drive people to go pay for HBO Max just so they could see it? I don't know. It didn't make anybody want to go to the movie theater to see it. So I don't know how it is going to exactly drive people to pay for HBO Max. If we look at some of the box office numbers, now Box Office Mojo is, it's directional. I find that isn't always perfect. But you could see The Matrix Resurrections having a pathetic $12 million opening when compared to the original Matrix of $28 million. And what was interesting about that is it became such a cult classic in DVD sales that the lifetime gross for The Matrix original was surpassed by The Matrix Reloaded significantly. The Matrix grossing $171 million, with the lifetime gross of The Matrix Reloaded at $282 million. And of course, Matrix Revolutions at just $140 million. Now, when you see these numbers, right, you see that The Matrix Reloaded, the biggest grossing Matrix film ever, right, back from 2003, quote unquote, only made $281 million. And that was back when people still bought DVDs. Remember that. People still bought DVDs back then. I don't know why on God's green earth you would have decided that, hey, let's have a $200 million budget for a movie that nobody wanted, that nobody's going to go see in the movie theater. You see this article from Roger Friedman. Matrix Resurrections is the sequel no one wanted and no one went to see. DOA at the box office. Personally, I wasn't jonesing for another Matrix movie, but if you have time and money, why not make another, even though the last one was 18 years ago? So Lana Wachowski did just that. Matrix Resurrections is DOA at the box office after just 5 days with just $22.8 million. Maybe people are watching it at home on HBO Max or trying to. On Rotten Tomatoes, the audience interest is just 64%. The critics is 66%. Where it was the outcry for this film? For Wachowski, this is the fifth clunker in 16 years. She and her sister, formerly brother, wrote and produced V for Vendetta. Prior to that, they made the real Matrix movies, which were big hits. But this is now just treading water or drowning in it. Not a great review. The Matrix Resurrections opens with $69.8 million at the global box office. And by the way, this is at a time where we just had Spider-Man No Way Home make $1 billion. It's already over $1 billion. This Spider-Man No Way Home is gonna, it's gonna rival the biggest Marvel movies of all time. I think, what was it, Endgame? $2 billion. It's probably not going to make that. It's not going to have the legs of Endgame because it's just not. But still, $1 billion. According to reports, Matrix Resurrections debuted with $70 million US during his debut at the global box office. It's important to note that the film, which officially hits theaters on December 22nd, received a simultaneous release, giggity, on HBO Max. Still, the movie managed to rake in $22.5 million in the domestic box office. Why did that seem so bad? You have a $200 million cost. Additionally, the film was reported in its top 10 markets of whatever, respectively. Prior to its widespread release, The Matrix Resurrections received a largely mixed batch of reviews from critics, clocking in at a conservative 70% on Rotten Tomatoes. The audience score has since landed at 64, which I think is greatly exaggerated. I'm not, I don't want to, I know that I talked to a lot of you on Twitter about this movie, and not all of you had the same, as a strong of a reaction. Most people, if you just watched it on HBO Max like I did, I wasn't offended by it. It wasn't like Ghostbusters 2016. It wasn't just abysmal, but it wasn't good. And I think that if we're being fair, this movie is a 4, 3.5, 4. Now, we can obviously, we can have an argument. You could maybe say it's a 5 or a 6, or maybe that it's a 1 or a 2. I don't think it's a 1, but there's a lot about this movie that just stunk and, wasn't good to watch, wasn't noteworthy, didn't have much to say. All in all, just having the end basically be that, Keanu is half the man that he used to be. I get it's kind of a nice sentiment that, the one is really takes love, the power of love and all that kind of stuff, but it was lame. And you could see it's just not, nobody wanted it. Spider-Man No Way Home becomes the first movie to hit $1 billion since the lockdowns. I told you guys, and we talked about this, I said this was going to be the best chance that Hollywood had at making $1 billion movie happen again. And now they're almost panicked. You could see Hollywood executives fret over Spider-Man No Way Home's success, saying the film leaves box office crumbs for other movies. Hollywood executives, I don't know why they wanted to run The Matrix up against it. That was a bad idea. Hollywood execs continue to scratch their head over the unprecedented success of Spider-Man No Way Home. I mean, is it really that difficult to understand that people just want to see a good movie? That people are happy to see a movie that, doesn't politically pander, that doesn't preach at them, that's just a good old action flick with, characters that they enjoy? Hollywood Reporter called the movie's popularity a mixed blessing of sorts. While it did bode well for future movie releases in the post-Coof world, at least one analyst claims it will increase the divide between superhero movies and every other genre. This is very much a one-movie marketplace, as Spider-Man No Way Home, operating in an alternate multi-universe where concerns over the Coof don't exist, is now leaving box office crumbs for all the other movies to share. For context, those crumbs are a very small percentage of the total movie revenue. No Way Home dominated the box office opening weekend, accounting for 92% of all revenue. Comparing to other smash hits like The Avengers Endgame, which took 88%, or Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, which had 70%, gives a true picture of how extreme those results really are. No Way Home was then compared to contemporary releases including Nightmare Alley and West Side Story. I wanted to see Nightmare Alley. Was it any good? But they both performed below expectations and leagues behind the Spider-Man installment. As of Monday, No Way Home continued to account for the lion's share of total revenue, 90%. Is that a healthy marketplace? No, one source told THR. Well, it's also Christmas time, and I don't know exactly how, how many movies you expect people to go see, especially right now where it seems like everybody's getting the Coof. How many risks are people going to take? You have this, basically the reviewer at Breitbart took a blunt approach. John Nolte said, newsflash, if you make a decent movie that seeks to entertain and move instead of lecture and shame, we will show up. Generally, I'd say yeah, but, did Nightmare Alley really, did people not see that because it was preachy? I don't think so. I just think that if people are going to go out to see a movie, they're going to go see something that they know is going to be good. They're not going to take risks on Hollywood woke trash, so they'll go see Spider-Man. Will we see another billion-dollar movie? I don't know, honestly. I don't think we're going to see it in the MCU in Phase 4. If the Eternals and Shang-Chi, again, nothing wrong with Shang-Chi. The Eternals was not a great movie, but I mean, these movies they're never going to get close. Thor, maybe. Thor Love and Thunder is probably next best chance, but it's a stark reminder that even a beloved actor like Keanu Reeves can't persuade people to go spend their hard-earned money in the movie theater if they're not delivering something new and exciting. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.